Reyes Jr. I am the Secretary General of Bayan. It is a multisectoral organization in the Philippines fighting for national liberation. Ericson Acosta is an activist, he's a poet, he's a musician, songwriter. He's also a friend of mine, and we went to university, the University of the Philippines during the 90s, and that's how we met. And we became acquainted through music, because I also play a lot of music, and we were part of the same cultural organization known as visitng. And through the years, we did our separate work. He became involved in the human rights research and the farmers of Samar, and that is where he was arrested more than a year ago, February 13, 2011. And he was arrested simply because the soldiers who he met along the road thought that he was different, that he could not speak the local language, and that he had a laptop with him. And on that basis alone, being different and having a laptop in a barrio, that is enough basis for the military to suspect that he is a member of the New People's Army. Even if they weren't able to open the laptop, they just took him. And along the way, when he was being brought to the camp, they even thought of just killing him, but they thought better and brought him to the camp, and that's where he was interrogated for 2 days without sleep. And later on, he just found out when he was brought to the police station that he was being charged with illegal possession of explosives, and that he saw there was a grenade now planted in his possession. And on that basis, he is now jailed in the Calbayog Sub-Provincial Jail in Samar. It's a province in the Philippines, and we are still trying to appeal the decision charging him, and we want him released, because the charges against him have totally no basis, and his rights have been violated. He has been detained in the Calbayog Sub-Provincial Jail in Samar for more than a year now, and his friends, colleagues have filed a petition with the Department of Justice asking the Secretary to dismiss the cases against him. But that decision has not been acted on. That petition has not been acted on. We have no word officially from the Department of Justice. What we know is that there is strong pressure from the armed forces of the Philippines to keep him detained, despite the public support here and abroad calling for his release. Another situation that we're looking at right now is that in the place where Ericson is detained, there is a military outpost just outside the window of where he is. So when we visit him, when we have meetings, when we record our songs, we can see that the armed soldiers just pass by us, and he's being guarded not just by the jail warden, but by the soldiers, and that creates a lot of tension, and for the purposes of probably intimidation of Ericson, even while he is already detained. One thing for sure, even if he is detained, Ericson is still fighting for his freedom, he's fighting for his people, and that's why inside the detention center, even if the conditions are terrible, it's very hot, the food is not right, he interacts with his fellow detainees and educates them. He's trying to organize them, and he's even trying to teach them how to read and write inside the detention center, because many of his fellow detainees are actually poor farmers, people who have no access to justice, who have no lawyers, who get detained just by the silliest charges imaginable. And while in detention, Ericson writes a blog. Of course, he has no internet access, but he writes them on pieces of paper, he mails them, and people upload his works, his blog, so that people would know what's the condition inside the jail and how he is fighting for his freedom. Also, on 3 occasions, we were able to do recordings of his songs, our songs, inside the detention center, and these are now available on YouTube and can be downloaded via SoundCloud, just to show that Ericson is truly an artist, and they cannot keep him silent, they cannot suppress his creativity and his fighting will, even if he is imprisoned. He he has been visited by many people, professors, artists, colleagues, activist friends, church people, the ICRC. And the access is okay, but before you can visit him, you have to pass through a very intimidating situation wherein armed soldiers are posted just outside the jail. And they monitor your movement. I mean, he was visited by a member of Congress, Kapaeng Mariano, and the soldiers were just outside the window and listening to their conversation. So that's a very intimidating sight or situation. So we are also calling on the authorities to immediately remove the armed soldiers who are posted just outside this jail cell. The current situation, the Philippine government would say that the current situation has improved compared to the time of Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. But for human rights defenders, the situation remains very bad because extrajudicial killings have continued under Aquino. We count 76 cases according to Karapatan during the 2-year administration, several cases of enforced disappearances, and actually 0 cases of actual conviction of perpetrators. The people who commit these human rights violations, they are not brought to justice, they are not jailed, they are not arrested. That's why the violations continue. That's what you call impunity, where no one gets accountable for the crimes that they commit. And the funny thing with the Philippine government is that they're saying there are no political prisoners in the Philippines right now. There's 0 political prisoners because they say nobody is being jailed for political offenses because they're being arrested for common crimes. And we were very upset with that statement because we have visited so many political prisoners and we know that they are political, that the nature of their offense is political, but they're being slapped with common crimes like arson, murder, illegal possession of explosives, and so on. So the justice system in the Philippines is very distorted, and it is important that countries from Europe respond. People from Europe respond to these issues because I believe that the European Union has given around 4 million euros to the Philippine government for a program that is supposedly aimed at improving the human rights situation. But after the 2-year program was finished, we don't see real improvements, we don't see the real results, we don't see convictions of perpetrators, and those points were raised during the Universal Periodic Review of the United Nations, where you had EU countries, the US, Australia, asking the Philippines to eliminate human rights violations. And I think that's an important development in that the people in Europe, the countries in Europe, are still interested in the developments of human rights in the Philippines, and they may not be seeing good results based on the performance of the Aquino government. We are very thankful for all the support that we've been getting from our friends abroad, and we have repeatedly called, we have raised the call, free the artists, free Ericson Acosta, free all political prisoners. It is not right that you will be arrested on the basis of mere possession of a laptop, and just because you're different, and just because you're a suspected rebel. And this is an issue of human rights. This is an issue that should appeal to every decent human being, that you cannot just be incarcerated because of your political beliefs, because of what you think you're fighting for national and social liberation. Those are not crimes. Those are justifiable actions, and we need the solidarity and support of our friends abroad, of artists, activists, and every other people who can raise their voices to call for the freedom of our colleague and to call for the freedom of all people who are unjustly imprisoned by the Aquino government.